There's the light now, and we're ready to go. The gates are back here in the Everest. They're off and racing to the massive roar of the crowd. Giga kick going to Bella Nipotina. Bella's in front though. Bella Nipotina wins the Everest.
Ying Rising, he's the Usain Bolt of the equine world.
Briasa goes to overpass. Briasa won the TJ. Jimmy Star levels up. Jimmy takes the shot and won the All-Age Stakes.
Hello everyone, welcome to Trek to the Everest. It's getting very serious now. On Saturday, Headwater and Lady Shenandoah, they were straight down the line. And then of course the big return serve from Ying Rising on Sunday. Trials this morning, more important races next Saturday as we have a look at how the Everest sits on this Tuesday night. Ray Thomas and Chantelle Buckley. It was an exciting weekend. It's going to be a very important weekend coming up.
It was. The Concorde result was perfect for the Everest, wasn't it, in terms of a head wall, and Lady Shenandoah, who was fantastic. But Shani, we're into the second week of spring, still only 4 slots taken.
Is this the least amount of horses we have ever had at this period of time?
I was thinking about it this morning and I was trying to work it out, and I think it is.
4 horses, and we've still got 8 to go,
exactly.
And we're 5 weeks out.
But to Greg's point, this weekend with the Theo Marks, but particularly the Run to the Rose and the Sheraco, they'll be very, very pivotal races for the Everest. I think, Greg, a couple of dominoes might start falling after the weekend.
Well, Briasa trialled this morning. We'll have a look at Briasa a little bit later. One of the horses already picked for the Whitby Werrett slot, Jimmy Star. We'll have a look at him in the Concorde in review. Ying Rising will be our first topic of discussion this evening, and Private Harry is getting closer and closer to his resumption, but by the look of it, he is flying. To Hong Kong, first of all, though, let's go over to Adam Pengilly, who was there at Sha Tin on Sunday to watch Ying Rising win first up. He's now in quarantine, and we're less than 4 weeks away from him trialling in Sydney ahead of his attempt to win the $20 million TAB Everest. Adam, it looked an exciting scene out there at Sha Tin on Sunday with something like 60,000 people with all eyes focused on one horse.
They were, Greg. Yeah, it was quite an amazing day and a real privilege to be at Sha Tin to watch this horse go around for his first and only lead-up run before the Everest. I got to say, Greg, it was quite an interesting day because the weather was such a significant factor. There was actually typhoon warnings on Sunday morning here in Hong Kong. The weather was that bad. It rained heavily and consistently throughout the day. It was ridiculously humid. I got to say, for a guy who's a bit out of condition at the moment, I was struggling all day on Sunday at Sha Tin. But the horse did the business. Big crowd there at Sha Tin, 40,000 people, all coming to see the local champion do what he does best, and he didn't let them down. Won with a leg in the air and started at a ridiculously short price. Just watching the tote boards, Greg, throughout the day, it's amazing to see the price. It sits there all day, 1.0. It's literally money back if you want to back Ying Rising on the Hong Kong tote over here. And the Jockey Club actually puts money into the pool of their own just so punters can get a dividend and get a return of $1.05. So yeah, it was a special day to be here on Sunday.
So what's it like being there in the parade ring as he walks in? Do you notice a change to the people's attitude?
Yeah, you do, Greg. All eyes are on him. There's no doubt about that. And the vast media coverage over here with television cameras, written press, all congregate around David Hayes and Zach Purton and the owners. And pretty much everyone just follows that horse around the parade. It was interesting to see that Zach and David Hayes have sort of said in the past the horse can be a little bit aggressive in the parade and can try and sort of stand over his handlers, but he was a little bit more relaxed on Sunday, which is a good sign. But one thing that probably stood out really for me was the way they do the race day routine here in Hong Kong. Like his stables and David Hayes' stables are literally just 300-400 metres away from the racetrack, and the horse will walk onto the track and into the tie-up stalls probably 35-40 minutes before his actual race. So he spends very, very little time actually at the track and in the tie-up stalls. And the tie-up stalls at Sha Tin are actually in a secluded area away from all the public. So he has very little people around him. And that's going to be completely different to what he faces at Randwick when it comes to the Everest, because as you guys know, at Randwick, they've got the tie-up stalls out the back there. Punters, anyone can walk up there and look at horses and throughout the course of the day. He's going to have a crowd of I don't know, hundreds of people milling around his stall at any one time throughout the day to have a look. So that's just going to be a little bit of a change in routine for him when he gets down to Sydney.
Adam, on that theme then, how important will this dress rehearsal be a week before the Everest when he goes to Randwick for that barrier trial and gets an opportunity to go through that race day routine, through the tie-up stalls? The ATC are going to throw open the gates that morning, so there will be a crowd there. How do you think he'll handle it, given that you did mention that he can be aggressive in the parade prior to a race?
Yeah, it's a good question, Ray. I actually sat down and chatted to David Hayes about that this morning, actually, over here in Hong Kong time, and mentioned the fact that, what's he going to do with your routine and getting ready for this race. And he was very, very specific about that barrier trial being a really crucial day for him. And he said, we know there's going to be people there, we know there's going to be a bit of a crowd. And he says, I want that, I welcome that, because he needs to get used to this different environment when he comes down here for the big race day next month. So that's going to be his main hit out. As David said this morning, he rarely loses barrier trials. Like he pretty much win every barrier trial as well. So I'll be keen to see what they do with him on that day and how keen they are to, I suppose, put him through his paces. And given he's had a bit of time in quarantine and would have had a bit of an easier time, they might try and give him a really good workout. But just managing and getting used to Randwick and having people around him will probably be the key focus of the day.
And Adam, you've covered racing for a fair amount of time in your career, and you've seen some really good horses. The stats about this horse are just off the charts. His last 11 starts over the Shartin 1200 metres, he's broken 1 minute 9 every time. He's broken 1 minute 8 4 times. He went 1 minute 7.63 seconds last Sunday, carrying 61.5. How good is he?
Yeah, in wet conditions as well, Ray. Like, the track was good. We know the drainage system they've got over here at Shartin is phenomenal. So it doesn't matter how much rain you have, even typhoon warnings like we had on Sunday, the track's going to drain relatively well. But I think he was still, only half a second outside his track record. And Zach eased him down probably for the best part of 200 metres. So I think that those factors speak for themselves, what a special, special horse he is. David Hayes said again to me this morning, he says, without question, and you think of all the champions he's trained over the years, he says, without question, this is the best horse I've ever trained. And that's his firm opinion and belief. And I just hope he comes down to Sydney and puts on a real show for the Everest.
Adam, I asked David the other day just physically what he looks like and whatnot, and he said you'd easily walk past him. If you didn't know he was Ying Rising walking into the yard at Shartin the other day, would you have just looked straight past him as well?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no standout physical feature about the horse where he walks into the parade and you think, wow, like, who's this? He just looks like another plain old horse, to be perfectly honest. In fact, I was actually standing with someone who goes to the Hong Kong races, attends regularly, obviously all the time, and we're just trying to watch him come from David Hayes' stalls at the back of the course around to the tie-up stalls. And as he's walking past, he says, you need to look out for the branding. So that's some of the only way you can tell him apart is by his branding, because otherwise there's no redeeming feature about him that you look and say, yep, that's him. So in terms of physical appearance, when he walks into the yard on Everest Day at the Theatre of the Horse, I don't think he'll be jumping out at too many people, but what he does on the racetrack is what clearly sets him apart.
Adam, what about the aura the horse has in Hong Kong, and what are you anticipating the interest will be from Hong Kong when he arrives in Sydney for the Everest? We know the World Pool is going to be crunched down to ridiculous odds. Can you give us an insight as to what sort of how this horse has captured the imagination of Hong Kong racing fans?
Well, Ray, you obviously have followed Hong Kong racing and been here before. The one thing about Hong Kong racing is that when the race is about to start, the anticipation for a champion horse like him is quite palpable. And they sort of line the fences and they're way back deep on that concourse area that has a bit of elevation. And once the gates open, it's a really, I don't know, it's a strange feeling. They let out this cheer and holler and they watch the horse. And when he comes back to scale, there's photos being taken everywhere. Like he really has captured the imagination of a lot of people over here, and that's reflected on the tote boards, obviously, when you see him with the betting. And you're right, Ray, the World Pool, I shudder to think what price he's going to start for the Everest. The liability with a lot of bookmakers back home in Australia would already be through the roof, and once you start adding in the World Pool money, he's going to start at a very, very short quote on Everest Day.
What do you think the promotion's going to be like in Hong Kong in the lead up? We won't see him for a month. He's in quarantine over there for 2 weeks. He's in quarantine with us for 2 weeks. How do you think the build-up will be?
It'll be big, Greg, because it doesn't matter what sport you're talking about, where it could be, international sports like tennis or golf. We talk about football teams, whatever it might be. Champions win in all conditions. And the reality about Ying Rising, as it stands right now, is he's only ever raced at Sha Tin. He's pretty much just raced on good tracks the whole way through. His distances have been kept to 1,200 metres. He's had one run in his career at 1,400 metres. So there's going to be a massive build-up from his fan base here in Hong Kong, wanting to see him go overseas and beat our best sprinters in their backyard to prove that he is the absolute champion they think he is. I think the Jockey Club obviously is right behind him. They've obviously done the deal with the ATC to get that slot for the next couple of years. Hopefully, maybe this horse will come back and run again next year if he runs up to expectations on Everest Day next month. So, yeah, he is the people's champion over here at the moment. Who knows where he's going to end up with his career. He's got to keep doing it for another year or two. One thing that David Hayes did say to me actually this morning was that he genuinely thinks this horse is doing black caviar things, but he just needs to do it for a bit longer. He knows that he needs another year or two to get that longevity that Black Caviar had. So that's sort of the feeling from the people here in Hong Kong, and they want to go and see him go down to Sydney and win with some authority.
And do you think the Hong Kong racing public's appetite was whet with Romantic Warrior? They'd sent horses overseas before, but nothing like that horse, who has gone around the world with success, and they're expecting the same from this horse?
Yeah, and I think the Hong Kong Jockey Club, Greg, wants to see their horses now step out onto a big stage and win. Now, I had a chat to Winfred Engelbert-Precious, the Hong Kong Jockey Club CEO, yesterday, and we spoke about Ying Rising travelling and what his sort of expectation was, and is he nervous about sending him overseas, such a star horse here in Hong Kong? And he said, no, I'm quite relaxed about it, but he just has to be back here for the International Day in December, which obviously is so crucial to that Hong Kong Jockey Club. So, yeah, you're right. Like, we've seen a lot of the Hong Kong horses, Greg, travel to Japan. We see them go to the Middle East, to Dubai and Saudi potentially, but very rarely do they come to Australia. I think Romantic Warrior has opened up that door to an extent for some others to come down here, and with the money on offer in the Everest, it's just a no-brainer when you've got a horse like Ying Rising.
Okay, Adam, thanks for that insight. You were there on Sunday. We look forward to seeing you back, and we look forward to seeing that horse arrive safely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We're going to be in for a treat when he gets down to Sydney.
Adam Pengilly, talking about Ying Rising. It's all getting very exciting, isn't it? What about at home? Let's have a look at Headwall winning the Concorde Stakes. Is there anything more to add? Headwall has won the Concorde. Lady Shenandoah was awfully unlucky. Generosity, a lot has been spoken about her, never out of third gear, back on the rails. Jimmy Star, who we'll talk to Ciaron about later. Anything to add?
Not really, except that, as I mentioned earlier, this was the perfect result in terms of the Everest. You wanted to see these top sprinters come back and run well. Headwall's gone super well, fantastic win. Obviously, Lady Shenandoah Shani was desperately unlucky, and that's Jimmy Star out wide. So the three big guns certainly ran extra well, and they're right on track now for the big one.
Headwall needed to win on Saturday to try and get him a slot, because if he didn't, I think people would have forgotten about him pretty quickly. So he came out and did what he needed to do, albeit Lady Shenandoah, if she'd gotten clearer, she would have won the race. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And Generosity, as Greg touched on, would have loved to have seen what she could have done if she was allowed off the bridle, because there's talk that she's a pretty slick mare herself on the track at home. So it would have been great. Unfortunately, that didn't eventuate. But
let's talk about the horses that are waiting in the wings. Briasa, who trialled this morning, and we'll get to see Briasa next week in the shorts.
Yes, he'll clash with Private Harry amongst others, and he is absolutely flying. And I was talking to Michael Hawkes on Saturday about him. They cannot be more happy with the way this horse has come back in spring. What we've seen so far, which is elite, Shani, I dare say we're going to see an even better version of Briasa, more mature, stronger. This is him this morning. He's just carrying. That's the Golden Slipper winner chasing him, who's trialled well, but he's just trialled brilliantly, Briasa.
It's perfect trial. He's had two really good hit-outs ready for his resumption next week. I think he's one of those horses that it'll just get better with age, and really can't wait to see what happens this preparation with him. Did they go one too many in the all-age with him? Did he run out 1400? I guess that's the only question mark for him, but he's one of the most exciting ones I'm looking forward to resuming.
Have you had a close-up look at Private Harry this time around?
No, I haven't seen him.
You haven't?
I haven't seen him.
Well, he's an exhibition gallop at Wyong last week. His trials have been outstanding. He looks like a horse, Shani, who is so keen to impress you. His work, his trials always look first rate.
Yep.
There's no loafing. There's nothing lazy about him. He's a racehorse.
He gives his all, and Nathan Doyle was actually interviewed after this particular hit out, and they asked him why he didn't have a gallop with another horse, and he said because he'd do way too much. He's such a horse that he's just one of those horses that wants to put his head in front, and he just
destroy the others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they work him by himself. Otherwise, he goes too keen.
And just quickly, Greg, the thing about Briasa and Private Harry, they're almost perfect sprinters in some respects. They begin brilliantly out of the gates. They've got terrific tactical speed. They take bad luck out of the equation, and we know that they can produce under pressure. So they are two live chances and very, very big chances.
It's going to be exciting, a very exciting race next week, isn't it?
Well, maybe Car Ying does have some opposition.
Oh, definitely does,
yeah. It's a strange year, isn't it, when you've got $1.70 pop and he's going to be shorter, and how brilliant this Hong Kong horse is, but look at the quality of the rest.
It's because we don't know how good our sprinters are, because they're emerging.
Yep.
That's
it's a different year.
It's so exciting.
Here's Nathan Doyle and Ash Morgan talking about Private Harry.
He's gone just over 1,000 metres, 5 home 2, and just let him slide up the last couple of furlongs under his own steam. And considering his first furlong was meant to be 3/4 pace work, he's ran just over 35.09 for the last 600. So he's smoking along well, and we just wanted to stimulate him. Big crowd here today, and just see how his race day, and he hasn't put a foot wrong. He handles it like a true professional. He doesn't overexert himself in the mountain yard, and I couldn't have him any better.
He works solo today. Is that generally the case with him, or does he work with a mate?
He would have smashed the clock if we paired him up with a mate. He's very competitive, and you see he's quite strong enough by himself. So he doesn't like getting beat, and you pair him up with a mate, he wants to put it to the sword. So just bringing him here today by himself, just on the truck, and just stimulate him and adrenalise him, he'll be perfect in 2 weeks.
He just does it so easily, the way he moves across the ground.
He's got a beautiful action. He's easy to watch, and just with his ears pricked, he just loves being out there. He loves being a racehorse, and he takes his job serious.
He's looking great. So everything on track, and he'll go to the Everest third up.
Yeah, that'd be the plan. Shorts, Premier into the Everest, and he'll be in peak condition that day.
Really happy with him. I think his trials have obviously been really good, and his work at home has been good, but he's also very casual at home now, so it's a great idea to bring him here. We did it before he went to the sunlight, and it worked really well, so just took him out on his own. He looks a million. Felt great. He's so casual in his first, but when I clicked him up from the 400, he really come up underneath me and under a good hold to line. So I feel like he's more forward, a lot more forward than going into the Galaxy. So I think he's got plenty of improvement in him, but I think he's flying, to be honest.
He had a few quirks early days. Are some of those been ironed out now?
Yeah, for sure. Look, he used to be a little bit funny in the gate, so he was quite colty, but the more he trialled and the more he raced, he's a very simple horse to have anything to do with now. He's very bomb-proof and push button, which obviously makes my job very easy, but he's just a real professional now.
Yeah, I noticed when he walked into the yard, he was just no fuss, and he looked like he just enjoyed his work today. Yeah, that's what he's like. He really does enjoy his work. Like, he knows when he gets on the float, he's going to do something, but he doesn't get above himself. He just he has an awesome presence about him. It's good to be on the back of.
Jedibeel had to come out of the Concorde on Saturday, originally in 2 races, the Moir and the Concorde, scratched from the Moir, going to run in the Concorde, had an issue. Here's Greg Pritchard with Brad Widdup with an update from Saturday.
Look, the horse seems fine. I just couldn't run him. He had a bit of filling in his fetlock yesterday, so couldn't risk running him today. Hopefully we'll have him right and get him back and running the shorts in a fortnight.
Obviously the horse a potential Everest runner for Mulberry Racing if the horse came out well. Will that give you enough time to get it right?
Well, it makes it a bit harder now, but obviously the quality of horses aren't going to get stronger and stronger. So, look, he'll have to be at his best, and he'd have to be his best to be going for an Everest. So, we've just got to wait and see, I suppose.
Well, Mulberry Racing, the newcomers to the Everest with a brand new slot, would be the starting point for them, their own horse, Jedibeel, if he comes out and proves himself worthy?
Absolutely, and look, unfortunately he's had that setback at a crucial stage, and you don't want a setback at any time, particularly building up to an Everest, so I think his Everest prep will really hinge on him getting to the post for the shorts and running well.
Exactly right, and he's one of those horses that he's probably just a little bit behind our top sprinters, but it might be the season where he can come and show that he's just as good as them and deserves his spot in the Everest.
Let's turn our attention to the 3-year-olds, because they have played a major part in the Everest. Yes was the first 3-year-old winner. Giga Kick became the second 3-year-old winner. Growing Empire ran well last year in a placing. The Run to the Rose, 1,200 metres on Saturday. Raging Force is the favourite over Woden. Skyhook is back. Nepotism is back. The filly Tempted is back. Bavarked, Rivellino, North England. Do you expect that first page there all to line up, Ray?
Pretty much. I guess the only question mark is Tempted, because she's also in at Flemington, but I think they're leaning towards the Run of the Rose. Crack race. It's almost boom or bust, isn't it? Because
any one of those horses on that screen could win.
Going, and if a couple fail, then they're basically out of the equation straight away. It is virtually a Golden Rose barrier trial in some respects, and they're all there, and cracking race that day, Run of the Race.
Well, let's hear from some of the trainers. Greg Pritchard was out and about on Saturday talking to Peter Snowden with Raging Force, Chris Lees with Rivellino, and Adrian Bott with North England.
Yeah, I'm really happy with him. Really good run last start. He's come on nicely, and looks a nice setup. Probably answer a few more questions we might have about where we go in the future.
If all goes well there and you go to the 1400, you like the sound of that?
Oh yeah, look, he's got to show us a lot of win with authority to think about that, but there's so many options staying at 12. The Roma Consul, the Schoolmoors, if you're good enough, there's plenty of races. You don't have to pinpoint one exactly, but no doubt that race against a good quality field will tell us where we sit in the pecking order.
I'm really happy with how he come through the San Domenico. Obviously stepping slow, blew his chances off a pretty steady first half of the race, but up to 1200 will be suitable. Looking forward to then going on to the 1400 of the Golden Rose, but I think he'll run very well next week.
That 1400 of the Golden Rose has got to be the most suitable distance for it at this stage, hasn't it?
It looks like that off his first up run. I'm looking forward to seeing him in a bigger field with genuine tempo. I think that's what he needs, and I think that's what he'll get.
Adrian Bott, North England, going to the Run to the Rose next week?
Yeah, be first up this preparation, Run to the Rose. He's had 3 trials in preparation for this. Just wasn't entirely happy with his second trial, and the reason he went back there, but thought his latest one's very good, looks in good shape. He's come on nicely off the back of that recent trial, so I think 1200 first up won't be an issue for him. May sort of look to stretch him out slightly and trip this campaign, so it's been an important run to see whether he's pushing on to the Golden Rose.
So you want to see something pretty obvious over the last 200 metres to make you go to that 1400 metres?
Yeah, look, most definitely just want to see a nice competitive run, and they'll show he's right on track.
Okay, Sheraco Stakes, which has produced Everest runners quite a bit. Any of the mares that run in the Everest, a lot of them have come through the Sheraco.
Sunshine in Paris.
Sunshine in Paris, yeah. Beat Jolie Star last year. Jolie Star, the $2.30 favourite, and she is just on the cusp of getting into the race via maybe a Chris Wallace slot.
Yeah, a dual Group 1 winner last season, the Newmarket and the big sprint in Brisbane. Gangster Granny, who made Autumn Glow work the other day.
She was good.
I'm not saying she's in the Everest mix, but she'll give Jolie Star a good race on Saturday.
Yeah. What about Stefi? Stefi's back.
Yeah, she'll carry plenty of weight, Stefi.
She's going to the King Charles. Is that the plan?
Main goal. That's her main goal, yep.
And we're going to hear from a story on Stefi Magnetica in just a moment. Here's Jolie Star's barrier trial. She's on target. Everything from the stable is positive.
They never press the button in barrier trials, do they, Shane? That's her in the gold and black check. Stepi's on her outside, actually. That's Eamon who's about to stride away with that trial. He's actually going okay, Eamon, but that's a typical Jolie Star trial, Shane.
Absolutely. I find Chris Waller's horses so hard to gauge in trials because he doesn't like them to do anything. There's nice trials on the bridle, never let off the bit, so I find them so hard, but she was impressive. And
Chris Waller's slot could easily pick Jolie Star and allow 2 or 3 others to fight over Lady Shenandoah.
Correct. Yeah.
Do some magic with Woden and win the Golden Rose and have Coolmore pick
race.
that. There's 3. And what about Autumn Glow, who runs in the Theo Marks on Saturday? Is she completely out of the picture as far as the Everest is concerned?
No, and I say that with some reservations, of course. She's into 2.30 in the Epsom, $11 a field, bar her. She looks an ideal Epsom type. But Greg, I'll put this to you. If she came out on Saturday and won by 3 or 4 lengths pulling up and was really sharp, and an experienced jockey like Ciaron Maher jumped off and told connections, she could almost and he's won 3 Everests.
Yes.
If he said to them, look, she's sprinting brilliantly, don't rule out the Everest, but 10% chance, I'd say, all intents and purposes, the Epsom's the go. Market reflects that. She's 235 and we'll know more certainly after.
And imagine if she ran in an Everest as well. How exciting does that make the race?
Just on Ciaron Maher as well, not only has he won 3, he's the only jockey to have ridden in every Everest.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a big day coming up this weekend too, hasn't he? But Autumn Glow, she's the headline act this weekend in terms of the horses racing at Rosehill. Will we see any Everest? I don't think so, but that Theo Marks will be so interesting. That's the fork in the road for her.
Yep. Okay, a break and back with Ciaron Maher, trainer of Jimmy Star in the tab slot next. For the second year in a row, the Ciaron Maher stable runner has been picked for a TAB Everest slot by the TAB. Last year it was Bella Nipotina. This year it is Jimmy Star, who we saw resume on Saturday in the Concorde. Joining us now is Ciaron Maher, the trainer of Jimmy Star. Well, were you happy after Saturday?
I was happy after Saturday. I thought he hit the line pretty well, and it was hard not to notice a couple of other horses that are going to be in the Everest has also hit the line pretty well, as in Chris Waller's mare, and also David Hayes' horse in Hong Kong was pretty impressive as well.
So how do you judge their performance in relation to your own? There's no panic stations yet, is there?
No, well, we hadn't raced below 1,100 metres, so that was his first run at 1,000, and I knew he'd be a bit short of his best, but his last 50 was very good. His last furlong was very good, and it just sets him up pretty nice now. He's got a month to his next run, which is the Premier, and then just freshen up into the Everest.
Yeah, Ciaron, just to your point there, he's come home his last 200 in a tick over 11 seconds. He's carried 60 and a half. He was the widest runner on the track. It must have been certainly more than a pass mark for you, given, as you said, there's so much improvement to come in Jimmy Star.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very similar path that we took last year with Bella, and so far, you know, he's had a good grounding on him up at the beach, and he'll have a trial in between. He'll, and the next start 1,200 metres, and back to that weight for age probably suits, and then into the big one. But I was certainly very happy with the way he hit the line, and Ethan gave him a glowing report as well.
When I spoke to you a few weeks ago, you referred to Jimmy as being physically a lot like Bella, not big, not strong, just small and compact. I know you're taking a similar path, but do you actually train him very similar to how you trained her?
Yeah, I have actually. He like her, he'd done his base work up at Anna Bay on the beach and come down, and quite a similar horse. Jimmy had a little bit longer off. Bella went deeper into the Queensland program over the winter. But he's probably had an extra couple of weeks in training because of that. So very similar path, hopefully similar results. But it's, he's a pretty exciting horse. Last preparation, it was sort of a breakout preparation for him, and I think he should improve again. And just looking at a couple of other runners, he'll probably have to. But he's certainly a pretty exciting horse.
Can you just talk about and reflect on Jimmy Star prior to his breakout season? An Oakley Plate winner and an all-age stakes winner, but prior to that, tell us about how Jimmy Starr got to that season where he became Jimmy Starr?
Well, he always had that ability. I think his first win for us, he'd had a couple of runs in New Zealand, might have had 3 runs, and I think his first run was at Bendigo, and it was like he disappeared and he sort of appeared up the rail. I don't know how he got through there. He had to breathe in a little bit, but he sort of showed his ability there and worked his way through the grades. And we were sort of working him out, I suppose. We stretched him out up in Queensland up to a mile, and I think it was his next preparation. He won over the 1100 quite impressively at Caulfield, and that was sort of the catalyst to take him to the Oakley Plate, to where he really sort of stepped up that preparation. So he's been a bit of a work in progress, but Aussie and the team, they've got a knack of finding those horses with ability before they're obvious, in New Zealand, and he's certainly a testament to their sort of program and the way they find them.
We just watched that Oakley Plate win, Ciaron, which was an extraordinary effort. His racing pattern to get back, he's got probably the most brilliant finish of any sprinter in Australian racing. On paper, he would look an ideal Everest type, stalking that speed and then rely on that finishing power.
Yeah, that's right. It comes down to mathematics. If he can run home in a tick over 32, he's probably going to need to be just that fraction closer. So next start, he was a fraction, stepped a fraction slow again on Saturday. So if we can get him to step just that little bit quicker and travel that little bit closer, given the quality of the race, you don't want to sort of take away from his pattern, but you sort of want to be within reach, straightening up as well. So we'll probably work on that over the next few weeks before his next run.
So comparing him with Bella, which you can do in some ways, the one way you can't compare him is her versatility, because when that outside barrier popped out last year and she sits deep on the track and defies the tough run to win our best sprint race, do you think he could do what she did?
Well, he certainly, she could race anywhere, forward, back, and Craig just had that much confidence in her. She's not as versatile as she was, but I think just to give him that little bit better chance, I think we have to be able to break a little bit quicker and just travel that length or two closer, which I think could be the difference. Bella, when she was sitting there 3 wide outside the speed with no cover, I was a little bit concerned, and she certainly surprised me. So hopefully he can do something similar.
He has won over 1,500. He's also placed over a mile. I know the Everest is the main target this prep, but is there anything else that you could potentially aim for later on in the campaign?
Well, there is the sprint race after the Everest. I think it's 1,300 metres that we would go to for sure. And Hong Kong was sort of thrown around, but I suppose there's a little bit to work through before that. But that's probably his whole target. All his races probably are in Sydney and then maybe Hong Kong.
Ciaron, you made mention earlier of Lady Shenandoah and Ying Rising. We know Lady Shenandoah well, but most of us haven't seen Ying Rising in the flesh. I'm assuming you did on International Day last year. What's your take on the Hong Kong horse?
Yeah, well, he's certainly just one horse out of the box. His win the other night it couldn't have been more impressive, given the weight, the way he did it, the way he was eased down. And you look at just his physique, he's just got the amazing shoulder and stretch, and he's just a lovely horse. So, if he arrives in the form that he's in now, he's going to be mighty hard to beat. He's got tactical speed. He can do it at both ends, and he's basically got all the boxes ticked, really. And the other horse lady, Shenandoah, she couldn't have been more impressive as well. If she had got out a bit earlier, you'd think she would have got the job done. So, and there's going to be more jump-ins probably over the next couple of weeks. So it's shaping up to be a very, very good race.
And speaking of more jumping in over the next couple of weeks, last year you got 3 into the race. Have you got desires on getting any other horses in your stable into the Everest this year, and who could they be?
Well, we've got a few 3-year-olds. Tempted runs this weekend, and this run will probably be a pivotal run, whether she heads down to Melbourne and contests the Coolmore or whether she stays in Sydney. And we've got colts like State Visit, west of Swindon, that would have to sort of do the right things to be contenders for that race. And given the strength, they're going to have to be right up there. But they're probably the only other ones I've got at the moment.
Okay. Have you spoken to Godolphin about what they might like to do with Tempted? Are they open to the idea of heading her towards the Everest if things happen immediately after Saturday, of course, in the run to the Rose?
Yeah, well, the Godolphin team, they're very philosophical and, don't make, any decisions sort of just on the hop. So, her run Saturday will be, we'll have a look at that closely, see how she is, see how she comes through it, and make a plan on the back of that. So the Coolmore would be attractive to her, but if she was impressive, I would assume they would consider the other race.
All right. And what are your impressions of her, newly into your stable, of course?
Yeah, she's got a great record as it is already, and trialled up super the other day. James gave her a glowing report, and really looking forward to getting her to the races on Saturday.
Okay. How's Pride of Jenny?
Pride of Jenny, yeah, she had a gallop this morning. She's still a little bit away fitness. She's got to have another trial on next Monday, and hopefully we can kick her off after that. She's just taken a little bit longer to come to hand this time around. She's a little bit older, but she seems in similar sort of form. She's just got a little bit more to come off her.
Ciaron, thanks for your time, and good luck on Saturday. We'll check in again soon with an update on Jimmy.
All right, thank you very much.
Ciaron Maher, the tab slot filled by Jimmy Starr. It'll be interesting to see what Godolphin do with a 3-year-old filly like Tempted or a 3-year-old colt like Bavart, because it is different this year where they had just James Cummings and the team deciding what is their horse going to be. Now they've got, 9 trainers? And they don't all have sprinters.
Correct, yeah. And a bit like Coolmore, they prefer to run one of their horses in their slot.
What else is there? They haven't really got
an older
too
horse.
many, do they? So no old hardheads in the team,
and Tempted are probably the two.
Yeah.
You can't run Tom Kitten.
Can't run Tom.
You can't run Tom.
First up fresh.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Ben Dorries will join us. To Queensland now. Ben Dorries from RaceNet is across all things Everest. Starting down south, Benny, with the Moir Stakes. Do you reckon it's going to have any bearing on the Everest, the win by Barraquil and the others behind it?
Well, I will say this, Rads. I thought it was a terrific race. Gee whiz, there was a lot of hard luck stories. But Barraquil, the winner, I've today spoken to Troy Corson's the trainer, Nathan Bennett, whose colours that Barraquil races in, slices through here for a fabulous win. They have not had, and they can't believe it, they have not had a single call as yet for an Everest slot. Now, they feel that this sprinter is an absolute freak, and why do they say that? He's 7 years old, so lightly raced. He's only had 12 starts. He's had a history of problems. He's had a pierced hind tendon. He's had knee problems early. He's had a suspensory ligament issue. This was all earlier in his career. But their point is that if he was, I suppose if he hadn't have had all that, they feel he would be unbeaten. They feel he would have won 12 from 12 and be one of the great superstars of Australian racing. So, look, it's a really interesting watch, I reckon, Barraquil. As I said, no calls yet, but there was an awfully unlucky run. In fact, a few of them behind Barraquil as well. But Skybird, just keep a little bit of a watching brief on Skybird. I've never seen a better sixth, I don't reckon, in my whole life. Just flew up along the fence there, absolutely nowhere to go. And as we know, Skybird, trained by young trainer Mitch Friedman, won the Group 1 Lightning Stakes earlier in the year. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go there. But at the moment, the Barraquil crew waiting by the phone for a call from someone, I think about a $26 mark in the Everest.
Well, if you take into account Godolphin's going to pick theirs, Coolmore's going to pick theirs, Waller's going to pick one of his, there's a couple of other Waller horses that are going to probably slot into these other slots. What's remaining? Do you know any of that are truly, well and truly open without having a specific eye on one horse?
Yeah, look, I think there's a few of them there. As you said, Rads, I mean, Godolphin take a Godolphin horse, no doubt. Same with Coolmore, they take one of theirs. But there are a few there on the periphery. One thing I have heard with some of these slot holders, not the big powerhouse ones, but some of the other ones, they're taking a little bit of a different approach potentially to the Everest. I mean, everyone in the Everest history has picked a horse to win the race. And of course you would think that's what you do and you hope that's what you get. But this year with the Hong Kong superstar in, and we've already had the likes of Private Harry go as well, so some of the remaining slot holders are thinking, well, I mean, there's still significant prize money, isn't there, for third or fourth in the Everest, even down to sixth, seventh. So, you know, some of the remaining slot holders are potentially, not necessarily maybe, going to end up with a horse that they think can win the race, but they want to get their investment back, don't they? They want a horse that can run a good solid race, could potentially finish third, fourth, fifth, and they still get their money back and perhaps make something on top of that. So maybe just a little bit of different thinking in coming weeks in regarding to some of these slots that are still open.
Oh yes, Ying Rising has changed everyone's mindset this year. There's no doubt about that. And on Ying Rising, what about the Hayes boys here at Lindsay Park taking on Dad with one of their own?
Yeah, well, I've spoken to Ben Hayes today, guys, and Ben tells me that the Premier Stakes or the Gilgai Stakes, the Premier Stakes obviously in Sydney and the Gilgai Stakes at Flemington, are the likely kick-off point for War Machine, but that is leaving it very late. That is on October 4th. So if War Machine doesn't have a slot by then, he'll have to shoot the lights out in either the Gilgai or the Premier to get into the Everest. Here is War Machine winning the Stradbroke in fabulous style. And I spoke to David Hayes after this race in Hong Kong, and I'll read you exactly what he said to me. He said the way he won War Machine, to run away with it like that, he might just be a very good horse. And I think he's right. This was the first time that Lindsay Park had won the Stradbroke, incredibly, considering they've been going for so long. And this horse, obviously, there's an amazing backstory to this horse. He was identified first by the late, great Mike Moroney, who brought him to Australia and first trained him. So Rupert Lee's colours there in the ownership. But wouldn't it be great, guys, to see Hayes Juniors, the three boys, taking on their father? I sense that War Machine might get a slot because he's a horse, I reckon, on the way up, isn't he? He's got a bright future. What he did there in that Stradbroke, he's probably only going to get better. I mean, the boys themselves said he was going into the Stradbroke, not underdone, but a little bit, they didn't know quite whether he was up to Group 1 level at that point. He certainly was. So I reckon the sky's the limit for War Machine. And as we know from the past, guys, the Stradbroke handicap has often been a very good guide to Everest success.
No doubt about it. Think About It, of course, did it. Ben, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
There's Ben Dorries. And speaking of Stradbroke winners, Stefi Magnetica, also a Doncaster winner. We'll profile her next, heading towards the King Charles.
Stefi Magnetica's working into the clear. They're right across the track. It's Royal Patronage. Stefi Magnetica up the inside. Rise at Dawn end cap. Stefi! She got there today, Stefi Magnetica.
Björn Baker, Stefi Magnetica, one of your favourites at the stable, headed towards the King Charles, maybe with the Epsom before that. How's it looking?
Yeah, she's in great order. She looks fantastic. She looks a lot better than she did in the autumn. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but her work's been good. You can't wait to get her up and going.
Stefi Magnetica down the outside, Volano and Bella Nipotina. Stefi Magnetica, Bella Nipotina down the outside. The inside, Stefi Magnetica, Bella Nipotina. They're the two. They hit the line and Stefi's won the Stradbroke.
What makes her so competitive?
Just got that will to win. You can't measure it. She's got a great pedigree. She's a much better racehorse on the race day, as we probably see in her trials or even at home. So, yeah, sometimes you can't quite quantify what makes them so good, but she just turns up on race day, and with any luck, I'm sure her record would have been much, much better than what it was, well, what it is.
Speaking of will to win, we've seen footage of you motoring home in a previous Sydney Marathon. Tomorrow, it's on again. How are you?
I don't know about motor. I need a lot more kilometres on the odometer to go in with any confidence, but I'm just going to try and enjoy it and be more like Disneck as opposed to overpass. Go very, very slow early and try and leave a little bit late. So if there's any footage, maybe I'll be travelling a little bit better than last year.
Hopefully your wife Andrea will be filming and we'll see a bit of evidence of what goes on, but you do subscribe to the theory, fit body leads to fit mind.
Yeah, fit body, fit mind sometimes, and it's a full-on job, as we know, and no, I enjoy it, and I'm definitely not going to be running the sort of time that I would like to or am capable of, and I'd like to say to all my past, present and future clients that your horses are much better prepared on race day than I will be tomorrow.
The deserved winner of this year's Carol Williamson Racing Media Personality of the Year Award is Björn Baker.
Big man with a big personality, and the evidence now is clear because you won the Personality of the Year award at the Racing's Night of Champions. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm very lucky. I do what I love. You have the ups and downs, and that's part of it, but we try and keep it real, and I'm lucky I'm in an industry that allows me to probably be myself, and at times I have a little bit of foot and mouth disease, but no, it's great, and it's about, I guess, trying to showcase our great industry.
When you're a racehorse trainer, you've got to look at everyone you see at a racecourse or anyone who's mildly interested in the game as a potential owner, haven't you?
That's right, yeah, you do, and yeah, look, I love race day, I always love race day. Saturday's the main day, and it's easy to get up and be positive at the races, even though it's a little bit harder when the horses don't quite go as well as you wish they would.
You've got a fantastic record, obviously, and last season all you have to do is look at the figures. Do you aim to project yourself as someone who it's fun to go racing with?
Yeah, I think I enjoy racing. I enjoy what I do, and really, at the end of the day, I've got a great team around me. We have a lot of fun. I've got good people, and we take the losses, I think, pretty well. We very much enjoy the wins, but you've got to take the losses well. That's part of it. You're not going to win all the time, and really, I guess the aim is just to produce the horses in the best possible condition to run well, and that's our whole aim. I don't have any real set goals. I guess last year I really wanted to try and feature in the championships, and that worked out well. So hopefully we can be there and just be competitive.
She's there on Saturday, back for the Theo Marks. Here's the market for the Theo Marks on Saturday, and Autumn Glow is the $1.70 favourite. Stefi Magnetica, $6. Look at those top two in the market, both girls. Then NCAP, Pierre, Airman, General Salute. That is the Theo Marks. Here's the market for the King Charles III Stakes. Now, prior to Saturday, I think Chawolf was equal favourite at $4.50. He's now $6. Autumn Glow and Fangirl. Well, Autumn Glow, if she came through, will she be in the King Charles Stakes? Because you'd think that if she goes Epsom, she might go Golden Eagle. Yes. If she doesn't go Epsom, she goes on King Charles Day in the Everest.
To the Golden Eagle, yeah.
To the Golden Eagle. Anyway, that's the King Charles. And the Kosciuszko ticket draw takes place tomorrow, 10 a.m, live here on Sky Thoroughbred Central. The ticket draw, 14 ticket numbers will be drawn out, selected by the computer machine.
That's it.
And then it'll be up to those 14 ticket winners to do a deal with a Country Trained Race Horses Connections to get into the $2 million Kosciuszko on that day, TAB Everest Day, coming up on the 18th of October. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, the Kosciuszko ticket draw, and then let the games begin. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Greg.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back on Tuesday night. But tomorrow, the Kosciuszko draw here on Sky Thoroughbred Central.
There's the light now, and we're ready to go. The gates are back here in the Everest. They're off and racing to the massive roar of the crowd. Giga kick going to Bella Nipotina. Bella's in front though. Bella Nipotina wins the Everest.
Ying Rising, he's the Usain Bolt of the equine world.
Briasa goes to overpass. Briasa won the TJ. Jimmy Star levels up. Jimmy takes the shot and won the All-Age Stakes.